Hey, Stuart here. In this video, I'm going to walk you through connecting Styck to your accounting platform. Now, this video relates to whether you use MYOB or Xero, as both function in pretty much the same way. And what you're going to do is go either under contracts or under purchasing and go to this account sync screen here. Now, you've got two accounts sync. They are pretty much the same as in when it comes to settings wise. The difference between the two is under the purchase orders one, you'll have the purchase orders and the invoices here that can sync across to the accounting. It's basically where you can see the status of all the items that have synced across. And under contracts, you'll have your progress claims. So it'll be the client claims and subcontract claims and the syncing status of them. As you can see, you've got a table down here. Ours is empty at the moment, but what it will do, it'll show you the syncing status of anything that you've synced across from Styck to your accounting platform. So just a reminder, the syncing process, it goes from Styck into the accounting software. So information entered into Styck will go across to your accounting software, and everything, like the basis of things syncing, is all reliant on the status of being approved. So once something is approved in Styck, it'll automatically go to your accounting software. When it comes to contacts, just so you know as well, contacts, as long as they're a like for like name, like a contact name in Styck is identical to a contact name in Xero and MYOB, they'll just see that it's the same contact name. Otherwise, it might end up being a duplicate if the names are slightly different, because Xero and MYOB will just see it as a new contact. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to connect Styck to accounting by clicking on a button on the right-hand side here. When I click on that, I get this pop-up here where I can choose whether I'm either connecting Styck to Xero or connecting Styck to MYOB. Now I'm going to use Xero for this example, and I'm going to click on Connect to Xero. So when I click on that there, what it will do, it'll run a check. And now I'm already logged into Xero, so it won't ask me for login details. But if you weren't logged in, it would ask you to log in at that point as well. And then it's just going to say Styck wants to access, and I'll be able to select an organization here. I'm going to say the demo company as well. Scroll down there and go allow access. And there we go. We've now connected Styck to Xero. And I just close that. And now this will change at the top right-hand side here and say we're now connected to our Xero profile. Now, following that connection being made, we now have a couple of buttons over here as well, where we've got some extra steps and some extra options that we can look at. So first of all, we're going to look at map Xero accounts. So here is where we're able to map the Styck codes to match codes we're using in Xero. And what we can do there is select our code template. So say I'm using my default codes. And on the left-hand side, it's going to show me the codes that we have in Styck. And on the right-hand side, it's going to show me my codes in Xero. So for example, I can have my project income in Styck equal my sales code in Xero. So that way there, I can go through here. And for example, I might say, okay, this is going to be cost of goods sold. And you can obviously have multiple Styck codes going to one Xero code as well. So I can use that code on repeat there. But basically, I'm just setting up what I want things like transactions coded in Styck to end up being coded in Xero. So when it goes across to Xero, it'll be using this particular code down there. Now, when I get to the bottom as well, there's just going to be save map accounts. I just save that, and now those accounts will be mapped. And that is just a once-off. That you don't have to do that for every job or anything like that. Once you've mapped them, those codes will stay mapped. The next step we have here as well, and the other option, is the Xero sync settings. So this will be the same whether it's Xero or MYOB. Being Xero here, we'll be able to open that and just check out our settings we have with our Xero sync. Now at the top here, we've got the record types to sync. That is our ability to decide what we actually want coming from Styck into Xero. So we've got progress claims, purchase orders, and supplier invoices. So we can tick which ones we want them coming across. And we could do things like we can say, well, we don't want purchase orders syncing across to Xero because we don't need that too. Below that, we have our sync options, starting with our export claim number, not reference. When doing a progress claim, there's a default option to have just the claim number syncing across as a reference field, but we can actually type in a reference number if we wanted to and have that go across to Xero. Below that as well, we have export project name, not number. When syncing from Styck to Xero, it does use the category tracking, being the job details will go across. So you can do that project reporting in Xero, but you can choose it. You can choose there whether it uses the project name or the project number. So it's just your choice on what you want that category tracking to look like. You can export header lines that's relevant to your claims. So you can say whether they have the contract works or the variation headers coming across. You can decide whether retentions export, and you can also just decide whether exports are without attachments or not. So that means, for example, if I'm doing a supplier invoice and I attach a copy of the invoice to it, you can have that syncing across to Xero as well. So if you untick that box there and save those sync settings, what will happen then is whenever you're doing any sort of syncing across, if there's any attachments, the attachments will go across too. So that's just part of the sync settings you can do there as well. So I recommend when you do these connections that you check that out, take the time to make sure it's all set up correctly. And of course, you can always come back and change these as required. So there it is. That's how you connect your accounting software to Styck.